You're welcome back to Nationalism and You on your flagship program this morning on ITV. And you certainly know ITV is the best. I am your host this morning, Ebenezer Oyetaki. We're going to take a look at a topic this morning that deals with good parenting and the challenges of nation building. Good parenting and the challenges of national development, nation building. With me to take a look at this topic in the house is Barrister Enobong Nda, a social activist and a legal practitioner. Barrister Enobong, Nationalism and You.
It is my duty and responsibility to build this nation.
Very well. You are welcome.
Thank you very much, sir.
What was your experience growing up with your parents?
Growing up with my parents?
The way and manner regarding discipline. Let's start from there.
Oh. Growing up was a good one, should I say. My parents, especially my mom. My mom taught us discipline, like even if a person is older than you with 1 year, you must respect the person. Good morning, sir. Good morning, ma. Discipline as it concerns your dressing as a lady. No indecent dressing. There are some things you could just wear inside the house, and if once you notice a visitor is around, you have to rush change up before going out again. Then going to the school, my mom, for no reason, would want to know that you went and stole someone's property. In short, peradventure, you were caught and you were beaten. And you feel you had enough guts to come and report to her. Mommy, someone beat me. She will even join again in beating you. Don't try that nonsense. That was the culture. And it helped us. It shaped every one of us. Today, we are no longer with them. But those things have helped us. Now, it's kind of funny, it's surprising seeing the way some children are living their lives today. Some few months ago, I was just somewhere and I heard kids of 6, 7, 8 years talking. One person was talking about this one's boyfriend. This one was talking about this one's girlfriend. And it got to a point I couldn't take it. I had to go scold them. What are you people doing here? Talking about boyfriend. What do you know about boyfriend? Is that the book you should be reading? It was, but funny enough, if you want to go to check the parents of those children, the parents, the mothers in particular, are doing nothing. The mothers will just sit there in the morning, they are doing nothing in the evening. There was a day I passed that same area, and I saw a girl of, let's say, 16, 17 years. She put on a particular music that wasn't, the contents of the music were not so edifying. She played the music and she was dancing some kind of uncultured dance, if I should call that, permit me to use that word. And she was teaching these kids. And the mothers, about 3 women there, were there. They were all smiling. They were hailing the children. Now, I was surprised. Where I came from, like the kind of background I grew up with, you dare not dance that way, even in your closet, let alone having the boldness to come outside to do that.
And some elderly people watching.
And everybody's even applauding you. I think the standard has really fallen.
What do you think leads to that?
So many things could be responsible. I would first apportion some level of blame on the parents. Sometimes it's as if people, once they just finish, some when they just go to school, come out, the next thing is, okay, let me just get married. Some people just have kids out of, should I say, wedlock. They were not prepared to have kids. They were just playing games, and the next thing, oh, I'm pregnant. And what do we do? Okay, let's just rush. You rush, did everything, and you're married. Sometimes there's a kind of training as a parent one needs to have, because you cannot give what you do not have. If, for instance, I am a mother and my daughter is behaving funny in the public, if I do not know as a mother that this particular lifestyle is bad, what will I pass across to the child? So, like they say, charity begins at home. So there is a level of discipline that the parents should have, and they should be able to pass across to the children. Before we start looking at other factors like the teachers in the school, the colleagues, the other factors like, should we say, the religious organizations now, and even the government. But first and foremost, as a mother, as a father, as an elder brother or sister, as an uncle, when you see that something is wrong, you should be able to make corrections.
Now, let us take it this way. In actuality, parents are the first visual aids to their children. How to mold their character, apart from what they teaches them by talking to them and by scolding them. What you do in their presence matters a lot. How you behave, the kind of character traits you exhibit, mother and father is the first training ground for those children.
Yes.
Are mother and fathers at home enough for their children in this generation by your experience?
The answer to that question, the honest answer should be no. You
And why so?
It is funny, but it's different. If you want to look at this current era, when compared to the time of our fathers, our grandmothers, there's a whole lot of difference. Okay, like in those days, most women were just comfortable staying at home. When the man marries a woman, he just knows that, oh, you're going to stay at home to take care of my kids while I go make the money. So the woman at all times is at home with her eyes focused on the children, what they do, what they don't do. But it's different today, where a woman, for instance, a career woman, will, after putting to bed, after 3-4 months, she abandons, let me use the word abandon now. That shouldn't be the appropriate word, but let me say she abandons the baby, who is less than 4 or 6 months old, at the mercy of the nanny. And the next thing, she's back to work. Now, the work she's going to, she goes as early as 6 a.m., and she doesn't come back till 6 p.m. Now, if she's staying in a very, an area where we have this hold up or traffic jam or what have you, before she would get home, it would be like 7, 8. By then, the baby is already sleeping. If there are other grown-up children, like say 7, 10 years, they're already asleep. Before you know, the following day, mommy, good morning, good morning. Before she can even say anything, she's off to work. The children are off to school. And in some cases, where the children are being sent to boarding houses, boarding schools now, the parents only get to see the children maybe on visiting days. Oh, baby, how are you? What? I hope you are fine. I hope they've given you your biscuits, this, and that. And just within the few hours till when the session ends, and the cycle just continues again. So sometimes I think the major, the first factor should be parents having quality time with their children. Now, there are also instances where the children just see their fathers, in particular, as strangers. Because sometimes they even get to see the father just maybe once in 5 months. Dad is always busy. Yes, he will send the money. But they don't see him at all. And it affects their upbringing in a way, especially the ladies. When they don't have this rapport with their dad, as they keep growing up, they tend to try mingling with other uncles outside who might not give them the right foundation they need. And it will affect them mostly if the mother is this woman that has this nonchalant attitude. Because when they go outside, the man out there is giving them the shawarma, is giving them the pizza, and is also taking them out. Let's go here, let's go swimming. They don't know, they don't have this background at home that, this is where we should draw the line. And because mommy is not even always around, even when uncle is trying to act funny, the little child doesn't know who to run to. Now, let me talk of there are some styles of parenting now that doesn't also help the children. There are some parents who believe in following this authoritative kind of style of parenting now. They just believe whatever they tell the children, you must do this. Every time you flog the child, the child sees you as one God somewhere. The child is not free to come tell you, Mommy, this is what happened. Because the child is scared that...
Because you scream and shout on them?
Yes. So there's this thing like, But on a normal day, the parents to child relationship should be such that if the child even does something wrong outside, the child should feel remorse on one hand and be able to come and say, Daddy, I know what I did wasn't right today, but okay, look at my results. I came out 13th. Like, I know when I was growing up, I used to take first, second position for me to say that. Mm-hmm. Then one particular term, I came 13th. Like,
okay, that is why the 13th stuck to your head.
I came 13th. Like, the thought of even going to the house was, it took me courage to even do that, first of all. Then on getting home, I didn't have this boldness to tell anybody. Results, I got my result too. I was just cold all through. Till they asked me, Eno, your school just closed. Yes, what of your results? I sluggishly brought it. But then, my parents were disappointed on one hand, but they didn't make me feel like I was a failure. There are two different things now. My mom wasn't happy. They called me to order. They said, you see, you're playing too much. You're playing too much. This is not what we want. This is not what we expect of you. You say you want to be a lawyer. Is this how lawyers read a lot? You need to be vast. Look at this person that made a first position that took second. Are they not human beings like you? Not that they were trying to compare me, but there was this thing like, we know you tried anyway, but
we know you can do better than this.
You can do better.
So
that was the last time
now you are a lawyer. Now let us relate this to the processes of nation building and all the challenges we are facing. Recently, we have seen juvenile, what do you call it?
Delinquency,
practices. Yeah. They have even gone beyond delinquencies. You know, they have turned juvenile criminalities. And sometimes the law doesn't even know how to address and deal with this. For example, a child of 16 years, 15 years, 19 years brought a girlfriend. This happened in your state or so this last week. Brought a girlfriend, slaughter her, and they will even set her head on fire. What do you think leads to that kind of a thing?
It is
how do they arrive at this?
It is very
because when we were growing up, we can't even stand dead body that we didn't kill. If somebody died in our village, nobody go to fetch water, nobody go to fetch to the farm, nobody goes to work in solidarity. They don't even allow children to come close to the dead body and that kind of a thing. It was so revered. Life was sacred and things of that nature. But today, if you see a dead body on the road by accident, children will come with their and be even filming and transmitting and things of that nature. How did we arrive here?
Sir, it is unfortunate. And you know, when you were just saying all these things, what came to my mind was the media, the effects of the media. I don't know, it was just some few years ago that I got to know how to operate some social media handles. I got to know how to use some kind of phones, computers, and all that. But you see a child of 5 years is already scattering the phone left and right. The child knows everything that even the father doesn't know in the phone. Sometimes our parents, let me start again with the parent, the home, because the foundation should be laid from the home. That is the bedrock. As a mother, as a father, or as a guardian, whichever one suits the occasion, you should be able to monitor what your children are even watching on the social media. You can't just have different TV stations, okay, different TV systems in your house, and your children, who are not even up to 15 years, have access to watch anything at any time. It still comes back to discipline. Now, this discipline, now, I will not just limit it to the father and mother now. Even some of our schools are not helping matters. I don't want to bring in the government into this, first of all. The government is a bit far from this now. Now, these factors are there. There should be a measure put in place by the society to curtail some of these excesses. Now, you were talking of the law having its course, the courts and everything in respect to the crimes committed.
By juveniles.
By juveniles. Yes, we have the juvenile court. Quite all right. When it concerns matters of murder and everything, the child in question is being detained at the pleasure of the governor. Now, we don't also get to use terms like, this is a convict or some things like that, because we believe that directly or indirectly, that name or that stigma might have a psychological effect in the life of the child. So, but there are also sanctions that could be put in place at different points in time, depending on the offense committed. But that is not also to say that we should not just leave everything now to the judicial system or to the government, so to say. Let me come back to the religious organizations. I think I've not talked about this in a while. Now, I think almost all the religions have something to talk about training, believe in training. There's a place for training. There's a place for setting up. The training could mean even setting up seminars. There are instances where some of these kids are in areas where they don't have access to quality education, where they cannot flow very well with English language and anything. But there could still be means or a media where the message can be translated to them in their local languages. Now, we shouldn't just limit this to the children now. We also have young people in their 20s, still in this category. So there should be a way of reaching out to these people. There should also be some kind of empowerment programs in place. Because apart from the family poor upbringing, one thing that really makes the children to go into some of all these acts in the society, all these things like kidnapping, stealing, or what have you, is because of unemployment. We will not be doing effective justice to this system if we don't talk about unemployment. Now, unemployment covers a lot. It's not just limited to those people who went through the university with papers in their hands. There also, we have what we call unskilled labor. Yeah, perhaps the young person isn't privileged to go through the 4 walls of the university, and the person can still learn a trade. The person can learn how to weave some things, can learn how to do one thing or the other. Now, there's this adage that says, an idle man is a devil's workshop. When the person is idle, doing nothing, like you just wake up in the morning like this, by this time of the day, after 8, there are some kids that are just out there drinking pure water, not knowing the next from the right. If they have something doing, if they have something to engage in on daily basis, their focus will in a very long way be shifted from all these crimes. They would now concentrate on these things that will help them. So it's about the training, it's about the upbringing, it's about retuning the mindsets of these young people. Now, I know that some parents have not done justice to this, but we cannot just say, okay, because the parents have failed, there is no way out. When people grow up to a certain age, they should be able to accept responsibilities for themselves, for their lives. Yes, my father wasn't able to sponsor me to SS1, SS2, but now I have grown. Am I going to keep making excuses? No. Am I going to just sit in one place and say, that person there is my age mate, oh, look at where he is? No. A time comes in everyone's life. So that is why there should be programs, if you ask me, to kind of change the orientation the youths have. Now the youths are the leaders of tomorrow. Away from when I was growing up, I've been hearing names like Herbert Macaulay, Nnamdi Azikiwe, and all those things. Those people, they left their legacies. And we also have the shift in the government to that's the present terrain we have now. After this stage, we're going to move to the next stage. The youth the people that are 10 years today will not be 10 years in the next 10 years. The person that is 22 today will not be 20 in the next 10 years.
Some people said the economic pressure of the era we are is keeping the parents too busy to have time for their children. Do you share this?
To some extent, yes. Yes. Like
Is that enough excuse for not having time for our children?
It is not an excuse. If you ask me, it shouldn't be enough excuse. Yes, parents, on the other hand, need to see the need to develop their words. A mother, a father should be a role model. Now, there's a difference between you coming to just tell the child, see, I want you to do like this, and you are doing a different thing. For instance, the issue of prostitution now. A mother telling a child, I don't want to see you with any man. No. And yet, when it's 6 p.m., she goes out. When daddy travels to London, she goes every evening from one place to the other. Now, her words alone will not suffice. The actions are saying different things. So parents should also see the need of aligning their words with their actions. So that will be a factor. Then, let's go to the schools also. The school system should be such that before recruiting anybody as a teacher or as a staff generally, we shouldn't just limit the qualification to academic qualification. Oh, you made, what grade did you make? We don't need anything below a 2-1 or something. That one might have its place, that is good. But there should be some level of moral integrity the person should possess that will make you say, oh, this person is qualified to be a teacher. Now, even if the parents are going to do their work, yes, during the weekend, even if the parents will go out in the morning and come back in the evening to still take care of the children, the major part of the day, the children still spend it in school. From 7:30 or 8 a.m., depending on each school's calendar, 8 a.m. till like 4 o'clock, some even 5, they are in class. The actions or the attitudes of the teachers will directly or indirectly have a play on the lifestyle of the child. For instance, where the teacher keeps telling the child, you are just good for nothing. I don't even know why you came to this class. I don't know why they don't take you to reception. As the child keeps hearing those kind of things over and over again, and also being mindful of the fact that when the child goes home, there is no parental care. The child might, except God intervenes or except some other things come into play, the child might grow up with this low self-esteem. And that is also one of the things that causes, that makes them to feel, when they grow up, they already have this puncture somewhere, this low self-esteem somewhere. And so they're trying to look for things they could do to just, let me show them that I need to, I sabi do something. The child will want to just develop one gut somewhere, want to join one bad gang, want to join one big boys association somewhere that's with undefined motives. And the next thing is corrupted.
Now, you have talked extensively about the school system. Has the school system done enough, putting a concrete measure in place to monitor children development as of being able to tailor them to suit national developmental expectations?
I wouldn't know how to say a yes or no to that question. But it depends on the management of the school. Yes. Now, statistics has shown, I think it's more or less like a 50 to 50% thing. There are some schools where we have the principal, we have the staff putting in all their efforts to make sure these children, so there are some schools that see this thing as, let me use the word, a ministry. Yes, ministry not in terms of church or any religious stuff now, but they see it like this is work we have to do. We have work to do. We're not just here to receive salary. We are here to build into the lives of those future leaders. Now, there are also some schools which, I don't want to say they're not even registered. If we want to even go closer to make some inquiries, they don't even have the competent staff you're talking about.
Now we're talking about, we have government schools, we have unity schools, and we have multiple, what do you call it, private-owned schools. I was listening to a military general talking day before yesterday, and he said, the level of discipline in military command schools are still very much high as when we used to grow up as children. And this general is about 60 years or 60-something years now. And the rest of it was talking about, because he went to help put one of the friend's child in military school somewhere, in this command school, and that kind of a thing. the government role in parenting children? Because there is societal parenting, there is governmental parenting, there is parent parenting. That we must look at it from these three dimensions in order to create a pool of responsible citizens that we cut, as they say, catch them young, develop them into that kind of nation builders that you want to see. Are there conscious efforts on the part of government, be it from the commissioner level, the ministers of education, and all those that are involved, and the rest of it? In those days, we used to have, what do you call them now? Inspectorate divisions in educational unit and the rest of it. Are those things still active?
Yes.
Did you witness them?
Yes, they are very much still active. Yeah, but there's one area I want the government to really look at. It has to do with, let me go to the tertiary institution now. Yes, it will be very important, like the ASU strike. Sometimes when ASU strike comes in like this, it has a negative impact on the children, or on the students rather. Now, they end up spending some months at home. Their mind is shifted. Instead of graduating, let's say 2022, someone might end up staying 2023. Some of those things do not really go well with the students. Now, there are, if it's in terms of structures, we have structures on ground. If it's in terms of laws, we have laws. But the problem has to do with proper implementation.
Yes, are the structures exercising due diligence as of to say we are what do you call result orienting?
To some extent, yes. Nevertheless, more work can still be done. Nevertheless, more effort can still be put in place. Because if I want to say they have done 100% well, it might beg the question. Because we still have some stories of kidnapping.
Because why we are discussing this is because the riotous nature, the life of our system children, because I am a parent, you will become a parent if you have not been one now, and the rest of it, and there are many parents there. All of us are witnessing the volumes of riotous behaviors and practices on the part of children and the kind of thing. So if we blame the foundation, which are the parents at home, then what role has the society parenting playing? For example, when I was in school, very far from my parents and the rest of it, because of the way they cultivated me, the sense of morality they implanted in me and the rest of it, when I see children misbehaving, I quickly want to discipline them and correct them. The children of my landlord become my testing ground of teaching the morality my father taught me. Good a thing, their father so much valued me and the role I was playing, but their mother was feeling that she loved the children, don't rebuke my children, don't spank my children, and that kind of a thing. But the father will always rebuke the mother and things of that nature. Does those things still happen?
Yes, they still happen. Like before you even said it, I was about to come to that point.
Okay.
Yeah, because I know when I was younger, like in primary school, the area I grew up from, if a child messed up, anybody, any adult could simply correct the child. Even if it's required, let's say, light to spank the child, light in a light way, not the one that you will spank and remove the child's teeth. Like you spank the child and the child takes dressing without the parents coming up tomorrow to say, why did you do this? Why did you do that? Why did you do that? But today, there are some places, should I say some places now, rather some women in particular. I think let me draw it directly to the women now, because most times they are the ones guilty of this. When the child comes crying, what happened? They beat you. Who beat you? What happened? What did you, like, instead of asking what did you do, the mother will just tie her up, and the next thing she just go there, and before you know, you start seeing a kind of uproar. You see people exchanging words, and at the end of the day, nobody is even asking, what did this child do? Now that child will grow up with that violent behavior, believing that the mother will always defend him. Then when he grows up to a certain age, it's difficult to bend him at that age. Yeah, so when he's no longer under the care of the mother and he finds himself in a different place, he will always seek resort to violence. When somebody just tries saying anything he doesn't like, he might go and carry bottle. That is how he grew up. So parents have a role. The society also has a role. And now, before I forget, I think we should place some kind of emphasis on giving scholarship or doing certain things that would encourage children to learn, that will encourage children to go back to school. The way the system is, though, we will not say the system is bad, but there are still enough rooms for improvements, for amendments. If as a child, let's say I'm 14 years, and I am told that if I come out among the first 5 students in my class, I would be given scholarship that would take care of my 5 years in university. I would be given some financial benefits. And I know that my parents can't afford these things ordinarily. Why wouldn't I sit one place to read? But the system, the way it is such that, one, there is no motivation to learning. Yes, there should be. We ordinarily will say, why do we need motivation to learn again? Are you not learning for your own good? But there should be a kind of incentive that when I have gone through the 4 walls of the school, I come out, I will not be on the street with my file for 5 years looking for a job. I go to a particular place and they tell me that, sorry, we know they do our advertisements for public. Like, you see the receptionist telling you that, see, the truth is, let me not tell you lie. This CV you are submitting, Oga will not look at it. All they do is by connection. That is on one hand. There are places you go to submit your CV and you just keep submitting CV every day. The system is just so stressful and so tiring. It is not motivating the young graduates. There are many graduates with good papers. I'm not talking of the ones that maybe just made, some people say, "Fairly let my people go." That's a different one now. But even at that, the emphasis should not just be on what grade did you make. And even when you have made the grade, there should also be some things on ground to make sure that these youths are out there. They're out of the street. They're not just wandering, waiting aimlessly or endlessly for the government to do something. Because the truth is, as I speak right now, there are some people that graduated since 5 years ago, 7 years ago. Until now, if you ask them, they are still trusting God for work. Now, also, before I forget, the school system now there should be some kind of skills acquisition training. If you ask me, amongst the formal education system, in such a way that people that are in school are not just taught how to come out with good grades. There should also be this kind of mindset that I'm not coming out to wait on the government to give me a job. It should not just be about what the government can do for me, but there should be a focus like what I can do in my environment too. When that mentality comes in, instead of me waiting for the government to give me a job, I would look at what I could check within. Okay, what are my talents? What are my skills? How do I market this trade? How do I market these skills and also be an employer of labor? If the youth will be trained in this mind or in this
mindset.
Yes, with this mindset, it will curtail certain things. Now it's as if we are just shifting the blame on.
Anyway, I was going to ask you about that when you were talking about coming out with good grade and be running around for 5 years. And me, I remembered when I was growing up in schools and all of this, I was not specially trained on what I wanted, and that on what you call it, skill acquisition. I only trained myself to say, I will live my life to the full. And living my life to the full, whether government employed me or not, I will keep living. I will keep doing, putting my hand here and there and that kind of a thing. So I develop myself multi-talently and things of that nature. So what will be, because we are rounding up this particular session, what will be your advice to the parents, to the government, and to the society.
Thank you very much, sir. In summary, all hands must be on deck. Yes. The parents should go back to their basic parental roles. They should love the children. They should show care. They should train to the best of their abilities. And they should also provide quality time for their children, to avoid a situation where when there's an attack outside, the child cannot run to the father or mother because of the fear of my father is going to beat me. My father will not even support me. My father, once I report to him that this thing happened,
okay,
he will always take side. Okay, to the government. The government, though the government is working, yes, but the government should also look at means of empowering the youth to avoid unnecessary the high rates of unemployment out there. Also, the society can also come in by sponsoring or training the young people out there who are willing and able to work.
Many people think that children that their parents are disadvantaged, who cannot pay school fees, and the rest of it should be abandoned and that kind of a thing. And one of our SIG, Obafemi Awolowo, said, the children of the poor whom you refuse to train, they will never allow your own children that you train to live in peace. Is that where we are today?
Yes, sad reality. That is where we are. But we believe that if we put in all effort, if we do the needful, Nigeria will...
Thank you very much. We have been talking with Barrister Enobong Nda, a social activist and a legal practitioner. And that is where we draw the curtain on this particular first segment. And listen to this. Parents, play your role effectively to mold your children towards self-actualizations and human dignity. Society, pay attention to your neighborhood, children of the society. The children are children of the system. Government, play your role judiciously, do all the due diligence that we may culture our children to give us peace. This is where we draw the curtain on the challenges of national development, nation building through good parenting this morning. I remain your host, Ebenezer Oyetaki, still staying here, waiting for the next guest, for the next topic.